Good evening, good evening, good evening, folks. I might have to move closer to this tiny type. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And yes, we are going to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. You are going to see the link to the next bunch of bullshit letters from parents to the Senate right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, and the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Folks, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to deal with a bunch of bullshit from a bunch of blind parents. Vivid descriptions of and clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. There's a lot of profanity in these videos. Also, it is 5:09. No, I'm not brain dead because I got to see the multiverse. And it was so much better than Batman. And yes, I rubbed that in my brother's face. I did. I had to. And yes, Zod, if you're watching this, it's better than the Batman. By a long shot. DC still sucks. Just saying. Alright, so I may still stumble over my words though, because remember, kind of do when dealing with idiocy. So get your calming tea, folks. This is going to be between parents and Senate members, some probably in New York, it looks like, from 2014. So this would have been about 2 years after that video of Andre McCollins went viral. This is testimony before the Senate Finance Committee and Assembly Ways and Means Committee concerning the governor's proposed budget. Dear Senator Blank and Assemblyman Blank, I am here today with my wife to express my deep concern regarding the budget policy changes that could potentially result in the removal of my daughter Samantha from her life-saving residential placement at the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, Inc. in Canton, Massachusetts. Why is that? Again, it's going to be blind parents, folks, so I'm going to try to take it with a grain of salt, but we'll see. The governor's budget claims a savings of almost $8 million, a savings that is a result of returning to the state about 100 transitional care adults who were placed in programs outside New York as school-aged children. If the legislators accept a budget that requires the return of New York State disabled persons placed outside of the state, without exception or any right of appeal, would be the equivalent of signing a death warrant for my daughter. Well, aren't you overdramatic? See, a lot of these parents, they all say the same thing. It saved their lives. You don't understand. I was your kid. Stop with the bullshit. I don't understand. I was your kid. Then I grew up, and I worked in the system. So please stop with your bullshit that you don't understand you're signing my child's death warrant. Funny enough, I don't look dead last time I checked. No electric shock in sight. No ABA in my entire life either. Funny, isn't it? I am a physician by training. Oh, and now we're going to have something I see. You're going to see the JD and AH trial too, this appeal to authority. Where they're going to sit there and tell us that they know more than us because they're the doctor. Your training does not beat my life experience, doctor. Spare me the bullshit. I am licensed in the state of New York, and I'm a board certified in the fields of internal medicine and geriatrics. I currently have my own private practice serving adult patients, but today I prefer before you not as a doctor, but as a father. Oh, here we go. So you're the one who takes the medical model hook, line, and sinker and really don't give a damn about the trauma you're inflicting on your disabled patients. Isn't that right, doctor? See, I've ran into a few doctors like you. I usually left their office like that. Because my mom's also worked in the medical field, and she knows when to read through your bullshit. Thank God for me, right? I would like to tell you about my daughter and how JRC saved her life. Oh, here we go. My wife Marcia and I first discovered our daughter was different when she was about 2 years old. She would not relate well to others, had very little speech, and would stare at her hands or small objects for hours at a time. She also had frequent tantrums and cried often. She began with early intervention, and over the next 2 years she attended 4 specialized schools for autistic children, all in New York State. So you put her in ABA. And you wondered why it got worse. Numerous therapists and teachers also came to our house to work with our daughter after hours, most of which we paid for out of our own funds. This is the world's smallest violin. What's the definition of insanity? Trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If ABA was not working, why did you think extreme ABA with torture on top of it was going to be an answer? If taking your daughter away from that school means her dun 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 death, doesn't that mean the treatment's not actually working? If these kids are fucking adults and you have to keep them in this fucking hellhole that's supposed to be a school and they're not transitioning out, there's a problem there, doctor. Whether you want to admit it or not. All of these schools work closely with her in small groups and on a one-on-one basis using learning trials and positive reinforcement. And how did that positive reinforcement go? Because there's positive reinforcement and there's ABA positive reinforcement. The difference is ABA does not allow us reasonable accommodations, at least not for very long. They did practice this with me to an extent where they were trying to desensitize me to shit that I will never desensitize to, because that's not how my brain works, or my hypersensory. In addition, she was under the care of a psychiatrist and given heavy dosages of several different psychotropic medications. So, you drugged the fuck out of her and put her in ABA, and you wondered why it wasn't working? Despite the best efforts of many talented and dedicated professionals, she required the use of a helmet with a face guard, weighted and padded gloves, and physical restraint to protect her head and face. So we're trying again, folks. This is the thing. This is what they do. It's gaslighting bullshit. It's gaslighting bullshit, and I'm so tired of reading it. We tried everything. No, you didn't. All you did was listen to your medical model bullshit without being willing to step out of your neurotypical motherfucking box for 5 minutes and use logic. ABA does not teach you, the parent, to seek out what's causing the triggers that cause the behavior. And doctors like this, I swear to motherfucking God, well, they can't talk. They can't communicate. How am I supposed to find out? It needs to stop. Learn their form of communication. There's more than one way to communicate in this world, and behavior is fucking communication. Be observant, for God's sake. Moving on. I try to be compassionate, folks. I really, really do. I really do. I understand there are some desperate situations and desperate parents. I get it. I've worked in the field. I've said it 1,000 times. I've seen the bars on the window. I get it. I understand. But why in the name of God do we keep going back to treatments that do not fucking work? And when they don't, you decide to double down and go straight for the torture. Why do we have to pay the cost of you not willing to think outside the box for our sake? Because we are. Yes, even us adults who didn't go to the JRC, those of us who are adults who did actually have an ABA, which fortunately I didn't, are still paying the price. And then when we dare speak up about it, we get attacked. So there you go. Here we go. She would attack us, other children, and her teachers. She would bite, scratch, kick, pinch, and headbutt. She became increasingly self-abusive. She would throw herself on the floor, hit herself, and throw herself against hard objects. She constantly had marks and bruises on her body from her own self-abuse. We were also prisoners in our own home. We could not take her anywhere due to her behaviors. This had an impact on our other children as well. The final straw came when she bit herself in the head with such force that she detached both retinas of her eyes and was virtually blind. The Anderson school where she was at the time she detached her retinas told us that they could not handle her and asked us to find another school. This is when we learned about the JRC. This is what they do, though. They always put forward these parents with the worst case scenarios. It's always parents who tried all the conventional medical model bullshit. None of these who have worked outside the box or even thought to try anything like person-centered planning. At all. At all. Cynthia has been at JRC since 2005. Poor thing. Shortly after her admission and with judicial approval and our consent, adversive therapy began. This treatment uses a graduated electronic decelerator device, which administers a 2-second shock into the surface of the arm and the leg. It was incorporated into her program at JRC. Within several weeks of getting treated with the GED device, a miracle happened. Our daughter stopped hitting herself and stopped her violent behavior. Yeah, corporal punishment does traumatize us to the point that we won't hit ourselves. We don't need to. The center is punching us, putting us on 4-point boards, starving us, and sleep depriving us. That need for self-violence is taken away because they're already torturing us for us. I will never understand, parents, how can you accept to stop self-abuse with other kinds of abuse? And how do you not see it as abuse? It blows my mind. It's like talking to parents from the back in the day who thought like punching their kid in the face was a good idea. She was able to be weaned off of all her psychotropic medications, which caused her side effects including tremors, anxiety, insomnia, sedation, increased education, hyperactivity, and loss of appetite. As a physician, I was amazed that a few weeks of Skinch accomplished what years of protocols, treatments, and drugs could not. As a father, I was overjoyed. As a father, you're a sick son of a bitch. If you think it's okay for your kid to be shocked just below the fucking lethal limit, you're going to tell me, oh, it doesn't really hurt. That's not what they're doing. Watch DeAndre McCollins' video. Tell me that shit again. when you hear him screaming and begging in pain on a 4-point board, face down, wearing a sensory deprivation white noise helmet. You're going to tell me that that is what saves your child's life? I'm sorry, but I'd rather be fucking dead. Just saying. And a good majority of us all would say the same. There was, however, a period of deterioration. Oh, here we go. When we took her off the device, that means the device is not working. If you take her off the device and the behaviors all come back, what purpose does it serve? It's not treating anything. The Board of Regents passed a regulation that prohibited the GED for the antecedent behaviors that led up to more aggressive and self-abusive behaviors. Our daughter became more aggressive and angry. Oh, you think that shock device didn't make her fucking angry? I bet she was angry. I bet she was pissed, as any of us would be. Her parents stick her in our hellhole and tell her that it's saving her life. And she has to smile and play perfect for mommy and daddy because she knows what happens when she doesn't. Remember when Jennifer Masumba said the same? Some of her old harmful behaviors returned. Parents of the JRC students, including my wife and I, went to the federal district court and obtained an injunction stopping the state education department from enforcing this regulation with respect to persons for whom adversive therapy was a part of their IEP. It shouldn't be a part of anyone's IEP. How the fuck are you supposed to learn when you're getting a fucking shock just below the lethal limit for something as simple as we're not wanting to remove your coat? Anybody? Just me? This was the proof that she needs an ongoing program that offers intensive 24-per-hour day behavioral treatment delivered by highly trained staff, which includes necessity, adversive therapy, and GED. Such a program is simply not available in New York. You as a physician, go fucking tell me. 2 weeks is good enough training for people 18 coming straight out of high school to be around people with no experience. We're going to come in, give you 2 weeks of training. Fuck me. What the hell is going on the East Coast in the medical community? Because that looks like a bunch of crack and fucking stupid. Because of her treatment at JRC, Samantha has been able to undergo medical treatments to help address the damage she did to her vision by detaching her own retinas. While her vision is still far from normal, she was required 6 eye surgeries to repair the damage she inflicted on herself. None of these surgeries would have been possible prior to her treatment at the JRC, so says you. More recently, our daughter had another challenge. Due to congenital condition, she had to undergo complex orthopedic surgery on both legs to correct the balance problem and prevent future arthritis. JRC staff were absolutely wonderful at providing her the needed care to successfully accomplish this surgery. I'd rather be fucking accompanied by the hounds of hell. They accompanied her to all the appointments at the Boston Children's Hospital. She remained in the hospital for 6 days after her surgery. The JRC had members in her room 24 hours a day during her entire stay at the hospital. Oh, fuck, she can't even get away for a moment. God damn. JRC members had in her room, period. The staff was in her residence at all times and met her every need. Really? She could not bear weight for 6 weeks post-operation, and the staff helped her and transported her to school and all of her post-operative doctor's appointments. Did they? One of the most remarkable things about her surgical experiences, through all her pain and her frustration of not being able to walk, she remained calm and pleasant. Yeah, because she knew what would happen to her if she didn't. This proves the durability of Samantha's treatment at the program at JRC. If she were anywhere else, we are certain her old behaviors would have returned and would have affected her post-operative outcome. It's because it's not even a fucking Band-Aid. I don't know what the fuck it is, but moving on. She could not have medically necessary surgery prior to receiving treatment at the JRC, so says you. Our daughter has now been at JRC for almost 9 years, and we have seen nothing but love and affection for her on the part of the entire staff. Bull fucking shit. They always present the most calm, wonderful face to the parents, don't they? But we've all seen what they're like on camera when the parents aren't watching, haven't we? The bottom line is that this program has helped and continues to help our daughter. In contrast, all other programs, including all the programs we tried in New York, have failed. Our daughter is a different person than 9 years ago. She is happy, able to concentrate and learn, and fun to be with. Really? She is not on psychotropic medications. Here we go. She no longer requires physical restraint or a medically necessary helmet to keep her safe. She has made significant academic and social progress and has been able to go on field trips and enjoy visits with her mother, 2 brothers, and me. Samantha's placement at the JRC has done more for my daughter and our entire family than we could possibly express in words. There's no program in New York that could provide this quality of life for our daughter or keep her safe from her own dangerous behaviors. By torturing her. That's what they leave out, folks. They want to make this place seem reasonable. They're saving lives. We don't understand. I feel like I'm rewatching AH's testimony in written form. But Samantha is almost 21 years old, and in anticipation of her transition to adult services, we have been contacted by the Office for Persons with Disabilities Services and informed that they will identify a placement in New York for Samantha. No such placement has been identified, and I seriously doubt that there is no in-state program that can safely treat my daughter's severe disabilities. Here we go again. My wife and I believe that our daughter would be dead or in an institution isolated, heavily sedated, strained and sedated, if it were not for her treatment at this wonderful school in Massachusetts and its caring staff. What in the name of God makes you think that school is anything but an institution? It's an institution whether you like it or not, and they use the exact same torture devices as institutions all the way back into 1800s into the 20s. Spare me your bullshit, doctor. You are a doctor who refuses to look at medical records and evidence, what are shockable offenses, or if you do and you agree with it, you need to have your license removed. I'm just saying. I know that there are other parents from New York who feel the same way. Along with other parents of New York students at JRC, my wife and I have asked OPWDD to consider the severity of our children's disabilities, to not act recklessly with regard to our children's health and safety, provide us with answers regarding what OPWDD plans to provide to our children in New York. The response from the OPWDD has been disappointing, and our questions have remained unanswered. I have attached the most recent correspondences here. In summary, I ask you to please consider the severe effect this proposed budget have on disabled individuals and their families if they're forced to leave JRC and return to New York without ensuring that they receive the care and treatment they need to survive. Torture is survival? Fuck it, shoot me. I'd rather be dead. I'd rather fucking be dead than set one fucking foot inside that school. I will do it my fucking self. I strongly urge you to reject any proposal that would have such disastrous effects. Alternatively, you must allow OPWDD to bring these individuals back to New York, at the very least as parents of the same due process rights to challenge a change in placement or services as currently exists for disabled adults in New York. Without the right to have a LPWDD decision reviewed by an impartial hearing officer, and ultimately a court, a decision to move on our daughter could really be a death sentence. Fucking spare me. You see all that gaslighting, that appeal to authority, that we don't understand what their lives were like. Funny thing, Doctor, there are people like your daughter all over the whole world. The whole world. Even right here in my state. Somehow, we are able to provide treatment plans and working plans all together within their circles of support that we create out here that do not require us to torture them. That, yes, believe it or not, doctor, actually assist in reducing behaviors. And you want to know how we do that? By using observation, finding out what causes the triggers, providing training and or reasonable accommodations, and you'll never guess what happens. Oh my God. Suddenly behaviors aren't there. Or they're not happening nearly as often. And why is that, doctor? Because we used logic, not torture. And on that note, folks, I'm going to go ahead and close out on this one. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. Few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments. Do appreciate your time this evening. As always, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.